Hello and welcome to the latest AutoTalk podcast. Thanks for hopefully subscribing already. If you haven't, go and ring that bell or that subscribe button on the podcast app you're listening to, or YouTube, or wherever you're absorbing this great content from. Now, it's been an interesting day for the electric vehicle market in New Zealand. We've seen some fantastic results across the overall market in September, but specifically we have an electric vehicle leading the passenger market at 1,066 units. That's a massive month. If you don't know what that is already, go and jump on autotalk.co.nz where we've got the latest statistics for you. But we're going to talk today to a incoming electric vehicle brand. They're probably pretty excited about how well electric vehicles are selling. Polestar is a spin-off of Volvo. It's a European brand that is going to start delivering made-in-China vehicles into New Zealand very late this year. And we have brand manager Bruce Fowler here to talk to us about what their plans are for the New Zealand market and what they're hoping to offer EV buyers. But first, I'd like to talk about our sponsor, ChargeNet. Now, if you're an EV driver, you've probably come across ChargeNet during your EV journey. Over the past 5 years, they've focused their efforts on building a fast charging network up and down the country. What you might not know, and this is really important to dealers, is that ChargeNet also offers charging solutions for every type of business. ChargeNet provides a range of hardware, software, and support services to ensure that you can build and maintain your customized EV charging program. Their team of experts will connect you with the right solution for your business. Want to talk EV charging solutions? Get in touch with the team at ChargeNet. The best way to do that is to go to charge.net.nz/commercial. They've got a great bit of information there and a tool that'll help you work through what your requirements may be. So thanks for joining us, Bruce. Now, you're the brand manager for Polestar New Zealand. It must be a pretty interesting day for you with pricing going out. I know there's a lot of talk about the price of the Polestar entry into New Zealand. Has it been priced to kind of just poke a little bit at a certain American machine that's been very popular lately?
Well, probably more in line with making sure that we've got more than a single offering inside the government clean car discount. But there's been a lot of work that's gone on over the last 6-12 months on making sure that we achieve, some price points that are, attractive and take advantage of what's available in the market, whilst being, what we believe is incredibly competitive, not just in the EV space, but against some of the other premium vehicles.
Mm-hmm. Can you explain your start-off range? You've got 3 variants of the Polestar 2.
Yep. So obviously there's the single vehicle being the Polestar 2, which comes in 3 different variants, being standard range single motor, which is the price leading vehicle, which the first ones of those will actually be here early new year. Then we've got long range single motor and the dual long range dual motor. So both the long range variants share the same 78 kilowatt hour battery. To deliver, great choice for customers. It's a really exciting time.
And how important was it for you to have those 2 variants, as you say, under that limit for the government subsidy? I mean, how important is the government subsidy to the launch of Polestar in New Zealand?
Well, it's seeing like the growth since in the EV space since the government rebate or subsidy came in. It's been very obvious that it is it's a key consideration for buyers. So to give have more than a single motor or single option under that rebate level was a big driver for us to achieve that. Obviously, from a customer's perspective, you've got those that are still conscious of wanting to have the highest possible range. But on the other side, you've also got people that are less concerned about the range and more concerned about price. So we cover both those options.
Mm-hmm. So where are we at the stage of the launch of the Polestar brand into New Zealand? Now you've got pricing, we understand what's coming. When are you going to start delivering vehicles to customers? I mean, when will Polestar hit the road in New Zealand as such?
So we're unfortunately, due to lockdowns and COVID around the globe, the first vehicles are actually our pre-launch vehicles are supposed to be here now, but they're shipping this week from China. So early November, we'll be starting off to be able to show the cars to customers. And we actually have the first customer deliveries scheduled, or stock arrivals scheduled for early December. So we will have cars on the road here in New Zealand this side of Christmas.
If we're talking about the Polestar brand, what is the Polestar brand? I mean, you mentioned there that the cars are coming from China, but it's very much seated in Sweden. There's a big tie-in with Volvo there. It was essentially spun out of Volvo.
Yep.
What is the Polestar brand?
So Polestar was broken away from Volvo. In 2017, it was established as its own brand with a pure EV play. So it is owned by Polestar, by Volvo and Geely. But it's its own company. But it's often referred to as the 90-year-old startup because whilst it's its own brand, it's got its own products. Obviously, they do share the R&D and production facilities across with Volvo. Huge benefit for us here, particularly in New Zealand, is the after-sales side of that. So from day one, we're actually going to have nationwide servicing through the existing Volvo network.
And so it still has that kind of Scandinavian feel to it, or is there a Chinese influence? Or, I mean, how would you describe it?
100% Scandinavian. Polestar is the actually only motor vehicle company in the world that CEO is actually an ex-designer. So Thomas Ingelath used to be the head of Volvo Design. So very different. It's not an engineer. It's not a financial background. He is actually a designer, and 100% is around the design and the ethic of the vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll see that coming through right across the range.
So it's a purely Scandinavian brand, but built in China. But I mean, so a lot of the Volvos that come here now.
Yep.
And it's spun off from Volvo. Why have Polestar out in its own operation as opposed to being part of Volvo, which is within the Giltrap group of companies that you belong to?
Yep. So globally, Polestar is its own company. It's very much based on a direct-to-customer model. So taking that lead, that's why it's been established the way it has in New Zealand. So we're standalone. We are looking at motor vehicle retail in a different way around how we talk to our customers, how we deliver the product. It's a really exciting time to, I think we're the first manufacturer to come out with our pricing, and the pricing includes honorary costs, for example. It's totally transparent around how we want to do things. And it's all around the level of service and providing information to the customers so they make informed decisions, particularly around in the EV space.
So how will that retail work? I mean, are there going to be Polestar stores? Are people just going to order on a website and take delivery through a Volvo dealership? How is it working?
So Polestar refers to their showrooms globally as spaces. So we will be opening a Polestar space in the new year in Newmarket. Unfortunately, due to current situation, we are behind schedule on the build. But no, there will be a retail presence as such, so customers can come in and have a walk around the car, go for test drive as per normal.
Just Newmarket? Will it expand further around the country as we go?
Over time, there is plans to expand nationwide. We are currently looking at being able to facilitate test drives in some of the regional locations as well.
Can people, if they want, order a Polestar simply by jumping on the website and putting down $200 as other EV distributors have done?
That is the intention. Can't do it today. We're going flat out to get that in place. It'll be a $1,000 deposit to order, but that is the intention, is that customers can do it all online.
Mm-hmm. And I'm guessing that space is going to have a very interesting design aesthetic. As you said, it's a company led by a designer.
Yeah. If you jump onto the global media site or do any searching, it's very Swedish and very much like an art gallery as opposed to a traditional showroom.
Tell us about the Polestar 2. What do you think are the kind of the key sales features of it? I mean, why should people be looking at that car versus other electric vehicle options?
There's lots of interesting things. So, one of the big things is it is the first car in the market, or was the first car in the market to run Android Automotive. So the whole infotainment system in the car runs on an Android platform. It's not like your Android Auto that you have by plugging your phone in. It is the whole infotainment system. So you've got Google Assistant running throughout the car. So you can actually sit in the car and ask it to turn on the air conditioning or change the temperatures. You can ask it a joke. You can ask it your next appointment, all by voice in the car. But also, obviously, being Google, it's Google Maps fully integrated into the car, um, which makes navigation incredibly simple. And even down to if you're on a trip and you're starting to get low on battery, you can actually just ask Google, um, where's the next charger, and it will route you immediately to the next charger. So on top of that, obviously the the build quality, the materials used, are what we've expected from within the Volvo um, vehicles that we've seen. So that the build quality is something that is incredibly good. If you look at some of the international reviews, everyone just raves about the quality of the vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Then you've obviously got all the safety systems and stuff, which that's from the Volvo R&D that's carried through into the Polestar brand and will continue to do so.
Mm-hmm. You've got the two single motor models that are on that price band to get the subsidy. Above that, I think at about 93,000, you have got a dual motor version. Is that kind of the sizzle of the model at the moment? I mean, is that the performance one? Is it going to be going and sprinting off down the road at?
Yeah, so you've
You
got
can't.
like you're looking at a vehicle with the dual motor. So still, it's rated at on WLTP at 480 k's of range. You're 300 kilowatts, so 400 horsepower, 0 to 104.7 seconds. If anyone needs any more than that, I'd question it. And then for those that are even more performance orientated, you have an option of adding on the performance pack, which gives you Brembo brakes and Öhlins dampers and some other cool little features.
Mm-hmm. Is that the one that comes with the yellow seatbelt?
That's the one with the yellow seatbelts.
Now, the question is, I guess, where you go from there. I mean, people love SUVs. Um, well, I think the Polestar 2 almost has a bit of a hint of SUV to it, doesn't it? It's got a slightly higher ride, I
It's
think.
slightly higher ride height, yep.
Yeah, it is a bigger car than the Model 3, I think, as well, for those who are trying to get their head around it. But what's coming? I mean, is there an SUV coming in the Polestar range? I mean, what else is in the production pipeline?
Yep. So it's pretty much out in the public domain now, of where the model range is going. So there is actually a new Polestar model each year for the next 3 years. So next is a SUV, a performance luxury SUV. Then there's a further SUV, and then a luxury performance sedan or car, which Polestar's actually started to document the preset concept from taking that from a concept vehicle through to a production vehicle, which is incredibly enlightening from a manufacturer like showing it's not just a concept car. This is something we're putting into production, and they're prepared to show that from the world from literally day one.
And are all these things earmarked for right-hand drive production too?
Yep,
So we'll get everything in the long run.
we'll get everything in the long run.
Yeah, speaking of getting everything, what is supply like? Because we know generally, so far from European manufacturers and electric vehicles, supply has been limited at best. I know many of the brands, if they could get more of what they've got, they could sell them. I mean,
Yep.
what kind of position are you guys in? And does sourcing out of China help that situation?
Yeah, so we've been incredibly lucky. We've got a lot of support from Polestar from a global level for launching into our local market. I'm confident that we got enough vehicles coming through for the first couple of months, at least, to satisfy demand. But everything's ramping back up in production, and we should be able to keep up with demand. It's looking pretty good at this stage.
When you say it with initial demand, I mean, have you got no thought so far on what the order bank is going to look like? I mean, have many people actually put their money down on one so far?
We've like today's been phenomenal actually from interest after the pricing announcement. I'm not going to divulge too much, but let's just say it's probably higher than what we anticipated in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, and look, if we look at September, and I know we don't like talking about other brands necessarily, but the Tesla Model 3 is the top-selling passenger car in New Zealand
Yeah.
for the months of September, which is amazing from where electric vehicles have come from. I mean, do you think we're going to see more of that? Is that as cars like the Polestar come through, and another thing is these electric vehicles up high in the passenger car ranks?
I think we'll continue to see the growth of the electric vehicle. Things aren't true at the moment with the global demand on vehicles and shortages of semiconductors and everything. Obviously, Tesla's in a position where they've been able to manage those shortages better than others. Um, I do think we're seeing the groundswell now. COVID again's played a huge part in the overall market for automobiles. Um, yeah, so those numbers, I saw them this morning, and it was wow. That's phenomenal. It really is.
Mm.
If we can replicate part of that success, we're going to be extremely happy. We think we've got an unbelievable product to give customers a choice.
Mm.
So because the reality is, up till today, they haven't had a choice.
Mm-hmm. Are there any on the ground in New Zealand? Have you actually tried a Polestar?
I wish. We're again shipping delays and stuff like that. Our first cars, we've got a limited number of pre-launch vehicles that they've actually been waiting on the wharf to get onto a boat. Everything going to plan. They are being loaded as we speak. So we'll have first vehicles in the country for people to see early November.
Mm. Have you made any arrangements for charging infrastructure in New Zealand? I mean, it's a big topic. Electric cars need to be charged. Have you got any arrangements for supplying charging facilities into the customers' homes? Will there be options there? And also, I mean, are you partnering with any local charging operators to offer discounts or even just a fob for your customers?
Yeah, so it would be pretty obvious that ChargeNet's in a very strong position as far as public charging infrastructure. We're in discussions with them at the moment around what we can do together, and I'm also in discussions with a couple of local providers that I've had dealings with in my previous position who've provided really good solutions for in home. It's probably one of the things that's part of the education for those new to the EV space is around the charging infrastructure and what's required, and there's a lot of mistruths and a lot of confusion out there.
Mm-hmm. Now, I guess lastly, and probably almost more on a personal kind of level, do you feel like you've landed in exactly the right place at exactly the right time, launching an electric vehicle brand in New Zealand right now? It seems pretty decent timing on your part.
It's probably even bigger than that for me personally. So I've just spent only been back in the motor industry for about 3.5 or coming up 4 years, but I spent 25 years in the mobile communication space. So the fact you've got the EV market taking off, you've got a car running Android Automotive. The timing's perfect. It's an unbelievable product. I'm just so excited. I'm so fortunate to have been able to be offered this position and given the opportunity to launch Polestar into New Zealand for the Guild Trip Group.
Mm. I mean, I guess on that, do you feel it's a car company or a tech company?
Um,
Because it is at the moment going through a big float on the Nasdaq and all that kind of stuff.
yeah,
All the keystone things of a tech company, I guess.
yeah. It's I don't think like when you look at Polestar's catchphrase is pure progressive performance. So I don't think they're ever going to lose the fact of what they want to deliver to customers are, the best EVs in the world. Um, the fact that they've taken the approach of partnering with Google for the in vehicle system and can leverage the rest of the group as far as the R&D. Um, yeah, yes, cars are becoming more and more technical every day. They're connected to the mobile network 24/7. The Polestar 2 is one of the first cars to have, you don't need your keys anymore. You can just use your phone. It's
Right.
through a secure Bluetooth connection. So yes, car company, tech company. I think they need to find out a new category for them.
Excellent. Look, thank you so much for that, Bruce. Thanks for talking to us about Polestar. Now, if people want to go find out more about the pricing, find out more about the car itself, or even place an order, now, of course, they can go and find out more details at evsandbeyond.co.nz. But to go any further than that, where do they go?
You can go polestar.co.nz or polestar.com/nz. At this stage, just because we are The configurator will be going live early November, but prior to that, just make an inquiry through the website. I'm actually personally monitoring all the requests that come through, and we'll come back to you with the pricing and how we can do things. Fortunately, I do have another staff member starting in the beginning of November, so
Sounds very hands-on. Excellent.
Yeah.
Look, thank you so much for joining us, Bruce Fowler, the brand manager of Polestar in New Zealand.
Excellent. Thanks, Richard.